What's going on? My name is Mike, and this is To Be Continued With. And even though I'm in a different location, coming to you from Aruba, I actually had the chance to go see Multiverse of Madness 2 days before its world premiere. With that being said, let's get into the spoiler-free episode today on To Be Continued With. So, let's cue up that intro and get right into things. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness starts off balls to the walls, and it does not let off the gas. The movie stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Elizabeth Olsen, Amy Adams, Benedict Wong, and newcomer to the MCU, Xochitl Gomez. And as I stated, this movie is all action right from the start, because Xochitl, who plays America Chavez, is basically the catalyst for everything that happens in this movie. You see, she has the power to travel between universes and is being chased for her abilities. Now, she obviously hooks up with Doctor Strange, and they go on a wild, wild adventure that introduces aspects of what the MCU could be in the future. Not only does it set up some ground rules for the way things work in the multiverse, but also opens a door for future MCU projects that don't need to be centered around the original MCU. Really wild, really crazy. Now, with Sam Raimi at the helm and his resume of horror classics like The Evil Dead, and also being the director on the original Spider-Man movie starring Tobey Maguire back in the early 2000s, he not only has experience with Marvel, but seamlessly blends his signature style with this film. We get tons of Easter eggs for the diehard Marvel Comics fan, but the really cool thing is that you don't have to be an expert with the comics or even the MCU as a whole. Now, I would recommend watching the first Doctor Strange movie along with Marvel's WandaVision, which was shown on Disney+. And maybe, What If, just so you're not completely left in the dark. Now, we also are treated to Danny Elfman providing the score for this movie, and he does not disappoint because he really brings a huge contribution to a great spot that happens in this film. Now, I know that this is a spoiler-free episode, but since everyone knows that Sir Patrick Stewart is reprising his role as Professor X, Danny Elfman adds the theme from the animated X-Men series that came out in the 90s. Just in case the yellow hover chair along with the olive suit and blue tie doesn't give you the hint that that's the version of Professor X he's playing. Now, Elizabeth Olsen is great in this movie, and her story picks up where we last saw her in WandaVision. She also gets a nod to her comic book roots, and we see just how powerful she is, along with how far she's actually come in the MCU. Shameless plug, we started To Be Continued With covering that show. Now, we also know that the Illuminati show up in this movie, and that for every member that was introduced, the audience in my movie theater was getting louder and louder, which I'm sure will be the norm in every theater that this movie is shown in. Now, this movie is very vibrant with a dash of horror, but not in a brutal blood and guts type of way. It's funny and has some nice emotional moments along with some clever ways of storytelling that is cool as hell and makes you wonder what will happen next. Now, when you think it's going left, it actually goes right. And as I mentioned before, it will allow Marvel to explore more of their properties in interesting and crazy ways. Now, I feel that Marvel can do no wrong, but there are points in this film where certain things didn't hit with me the way they should. But I will need to watch it again so I can make it a great spoiler-filled episode, and I need to take it all in because so much was going on. There are 2 after-credit scenes, which I will say felt a bit choppy, especially with the way the movie ended, but I was honestly disappointed with the second post-credit scene since I felt it was a missed opportunity for Marvel and Disney on this one. Now, I haven't touched on Amy Adams' character, but she was great along with Wong, who, if you don't know, is the current Sorcerer Supreme. By the way, if you watch the movie, how are you, Wong? Overall, listen, it's a fun movie that stretches what can be done with these characters, and I'm definitely going to go see it again. I went with my youngest daughter, who's currently 11, and a huge Wanda Scarlet Witch fan, so if any parents are worried about the horror style, keep in mind that it's not scary in the way of something like the classic Friday the 13th or the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Wow, did I just date myself with those? Anyway, it does find clever ways to make you say, holy shit. Now, I will be putting out a spoiler-filled episode, as I mentioned before, and a full breakdown of Multiverse of Madness in a few days. So be sure to subscribe, click on the bell for notifications for that and future episodes right here, because this isn't the end. It's simply to be continued with.